know, right?
How about that?
Buenas tardes, LEC community. My name is Delia Perez Solorzano. I am the Director of High Impact Practice at the Latinx Education Collaborative, where we work to increase the representation of Latinx educators K through 12. And tonight, I have the honor to introduce to you all one of our nominees, Brenda Mendoza, out of the Chicagoland area. Woot woot. I'm from Chicago, represent, love it. And we were just talking about different neighborhoods, and that's how it is. But yes, let's go ahead and get us started. You were nominated for Latinx Impact Award, I believe, right? One of our values. So tell our community that are listening, tuning in live or later, tell us a little bit about yourself, your story, and your journey.
Thank you. And the honor's all mine. I mean, really, but let's keep it real. So my name is Brenda Mendoza. I am a K through 12 ELL specialist, and I've been teaching for 15 years with emerging bilingual students. I'm currently right now teaching second grade bilingual, and I've worked really K through 6. I've done a lot of my focus work, but another hat that I wear that is very, like, I have a huge passion for it is my advocacy work. I work on the board with Illinois ASCD as a whole child leader. So my role is to constantly advocate for different practices, culturally responsive practices, social justice practices that need to be put into place in schools throughout Illinois. I do that through presenting, providing PD, and we've even written policy and passed legislations to have March be the whole child month for the state of Illinois, which is a really big deal to have it recognized. And if I go back, I really think it's important to let everybody know, like, what has led me here, but really the why. And I know a lot of us, our passion stems from just our experiences and the things that we've lived through and gone through as our life progresses. And one of my most fondest memories is I was born and raised in Pilsen as a little child, and my parents were immigrants. And I know this is not a unique story because a lot of us share that same experience where our parents are immigrants and we're first generation in this country. And we do know that as we're being raised, our parents are telling us about all the opportunities that this country has to offer. And that even from little, you hear like, oh, you gotta do better than me. You gotta do better than me. And I remember my parents were huge, our biggest cheerleaders for sure, for my brother and I. And so one of the things they did was we moved to Cicero because they felt that was going to be a place where we could grow and develop and just have more opportunities. And so we did move to Cicero, and everything in my life was pretty much great at that point. I was born and raised speaking Spanish, and Spanish is my first language. And but the experience I had when I started kindergarten in Cicero was really difficult. It was tough. I was the only student that spoke Spanish at the time in that kindergarten classroom, and there were no services for someone like me. And you learned really quick that it almost seemed like it was an issue that, you spoke a second language, and the school really didn't know what to do with me. And you learn that early on. You're like in kindergarten, you're about 5, 6 years old, and already to notice that something that you are like born with, something that made you who you are, that you're so proud of. And my parents are so proud of speaking Spanish, and they're so proud of our culture. And even as a 5-year-old, telling me that it was important that I never hid who I was. And so as a 5-year-old, you walk into that classroom and you're like, you know what, that's fine. I speak Spanish, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to figure this out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that everything I do, my why stems from, I don't want any other child ever, and I get emotional about this, to ever experience not being supported or not being accepted for who they are, period. And so I really wanted to make sure that my life and my whole life mission was dedicated to making sure that children never, ever felt that way. And so that started me down on this path. I have my Type 75. I have my principal license, and this is not my first stop teaching in the classroom, but because some of the most strongest relationships are built in the classroom, that is probably why I'm still in the classroom, because I've been able to implement family workshops. I really get to know my families. The children really are like, I treat them like my own. I have high schoolers that come back and they're like, Miss Mendoza, we still remember you. And you're like, that is what I want to leave behind, that legacy where they know that they are the most important little people to me, and that they know that and they carry with them forever. Because I want them to have self-awareness. I want them to be, be able to persevere. But at the same time, I want them to just be happy with who they are and everything that makes them who they are. And so that's why I became a teacher, but specifically a bilingual teacher, because I knew I had to work with my community and make sure that I made those sacrifices and everything to make sure that my students were getting the best I could give.
Yes, I love it.
The question, but that
no, it was amazing and perfect in every way. I actually remember, I grew up in like the northwest side of Chicago, so Logan Square area, but just west is like south and west is that Cicero community. Yes. Now it's different. I think if you were there today, like it is bilingual. Like it's okay if you have a guest. It's okay.
Oh yes, I was like, hi.
I don't think they knew you were on a live interview.
It's okay. No,
but that's the life of an educator. Oh yes, no, but absolutely that experience, and I could tell that your whole why is thrown into everything that you do, from the emotional programming and the your bilingual position altogether. And gosh, what you said was so impactful. Speaking of impactful, what does being nominated for Latinx Educator Impact Award mean to you? So everything that you've shared about your why and your journey to get there, like that's so impactful. Somebody saw it in you and spoke to it. So what does this mean to you?
I really kept thinking about like, what does a nomination like this, of this magnitude, what does it mean? And it is a question that I just kept thinking about since the email, and I read it and I said, I mean, it really means a whole lot of things, but I want to just kind of list it. For me, it means that my parents' sacrifice of just living to survive on a daily basis so that I could grow up and live my passion, to be able to do something like this right now, is means that it was worth everything. And they always talk about that. It's like, is all our hard work, did that really affect your life? And I mean, I'm sitting here and I'm able to be saying how much this nomination impacts the fact that, yes, my parents immigrating to a new country, my parents working hard every day just to survive, really fostered the pathway for me to be able to live my passion and now be able to have this conversation. That's one level and one part of it. Another one is just how this conversation and these being highlighted and just being recognized is telling us the importance of educators of color. What we're doing is really, really being highlighted, and people are starting to notice that we have a lot to say, and we do so much for our community, and it's absolutely important that it's highlighted. So not only are my parents' sacrifices, it means that what they did in their life was worth every minute of it, but also the fact that we're being highlighted and having teachers of color be recognized and having our voices heard. That the impact of that alone is that future educators are going to hear all of us speak and say, I can do this. I can be an advocate for my students. I could be an advocate for my families. I can be a teacher. And that's what we want. We want these opportunities, and that's why I thought, like, the first thing is, like, I have to speak on the fact that this is going to go out there to hundreds, if not thousands, millions of teachers and future teachers. And you can do this. Like, this is what this nomination means, is that you're impacting teachers of color and you're being able to do this. But then also going to the next layer, like, this impacts our students. Being able to you don't know, something that you might mention might impact another community and help other teachers and feel maybe brave to start having some conversations. I'm a member of our district equity leadership team, and we have some really, really difficult conversations there. And we just met yesterday, and we were talking about how, in order to really make an impact, we need to start having conversations around what exactly does an equitable education mean for us here in West Aurora? What does that look like? And so we started identifying some of the things we're already doing. Like, we're strong on building relationships. That's huge for us here. So it starts there. But also, we talk a lot about culturally responsive teaching. And we're like, what does that look like? What if I walked into a classroom for a learning walk? Would I see the culturally responsive teaching in action? So we need to define that for our district. And I think that, again, something like this makes me dig deeper into myself. Like, how do I level up? How do I keep giving more to impact my community? And every time I just want to go to the next level, because yes, we created legislation for whole child. Yes, we're doing equity work for our district. Yes, all this is great, but I feel like I still need to do more. And so hopefully this nomination, just being nominated and being able to speak on it is huge.
It is.
So I do feel very validated that the work that we're doing is powerful.
It is. It's super powerful, definitely. And you know what? The LEC sees you through this nomination, through your voice, sharing your personal lived experiences, and I'm sure you bring that in to that diversity and equity leadership team. You bring that into your classroom and every space that you enter, and that's why we're so valuable. We have value. We bring value. We're assets.
We do, and we need more of you.
Yes, no, I mean, a district hires a bilingual person or multilingual person, and they're winning. My next question is, so data shows that Latino educators are the fastest growing group of educators coming in, but they're also the fastest to leave, with 3 years being the Latinx average compared to 5 years at the national level. Why do you think this is? Or sorry, not why do you think this is? That's for another interview, or Ask an Educator interview, which I will invite you
I have a few words for that one. I can answer it.
Right. But you could still answer it, but why are Latinx teachers important? Why is this representation? Why does it matter?
Our children need to be able to see themselves in their community members. So the fact that their teacher is Latina, Latinx, that already has a huge impact because they ask questions. Like even these little 6, 7 year olds, they're like, "Teacher, you went to college? What is that like? Can you tell me more?" And they're so excited, and there's just so much hope and so much like joy in their eyes when they talk about like just wanting to know like what you've done to get to this point. So representation matters a lot because of that. And also here in this classroom, we always talk about how books are mirrors. And so it's super important to constantly that's the one thing right away for culturally responsive practices is knowing that there is a library in your classroom that is a mirror for your students. And because of that, I feel like the opportunities for Latinx teachers are huge. I think that we underestimate our power, and if we all continue to work hard together and not be afraid to use our voice, I mean, we can accomplish anything. Um, Sometimes I think about like, wow, I cannot believe that this is my life, that I get to do this. Like I get paid to empower Latino kids. Like, wow, that I'm like, how lucky am I? Like, somebody pays me to do that. I wake up every morning. I cannot call this a job because it's not.
Mm,
It's like an honor to serve my kids. I always say
mhm,
that their opinion really is what matters the most to me. Is do my children in my classroom feel welcomed, safe, and nurtured? Do their, social emotional needs, are they being met? And then when I can do that and build that strong relationship, then we can make so many gains academically. But
mhm,
all these things is why it is important to be a Latinx teacher, because you
mhm,
change not only one student, but you change that student and that student's life. Then you change the parents, and then you start changing the community, and then you start impacting your city, all the way to like, I mean, can you believe that we impacted the state to get
yeah.
World Child Month? I mean, you can literally do anything as an educator, and I think that it's a lot of advocacy work. And if you know that it's in your soul, it's a passion of yours to stand up for people who don't have a voice, then you need to be a Latinx teacher.
Mhm, mhm. I love it. I love how you just said, I can't believe I'm getting paid to, you
It's
know.
like I would do it for free. I would do it for free. No joke. Don't tell anybody, but I would.
Yeah, yeah, no, to impact. No, it says a lot about you though. Really, it does. Um and I will say that we do need to be compensated for our genius and our input, right? But I understand what you mean though. Like, yes, I can't believe I'm
Like,
getting
this
paid
is
to do what
awesome
I
work.
love.
Like I
Yes,
would do this. Like I would do it for free because I
absolutely.
absolutely love it.
Absolutely. So, last question, but I will have one more just in reference to your nomination at the end. It's going to be more about your fun fact. But last question is, what keeps you going?
Oh, 1 second. I'll see you there. I'm telling you, book club. They're like, we'll see you there. I'm coming. No worries. Yeah, I'll see you there. So funny. They're like, are you
Love it.
coming? Yes, yes. Wouldn't
Hmm.
miss a book club. I got to read a book, my book of choice this time, so I'm
Yes.
going.
What book are you reading?
So I reread My Perfect Mexican Daughter.
Oh,
I reread it again just because um, part of my Delt team was talking about how they um, assigned it to their students in high school this year, and I thought like, wow! Instead of The Outsiders, they assigned
yes.
Perfect. I'm
Thank you. Thank
not the
you.
perfect Latina, daughter, and I was like,
Mhm,
wow. That just tells you how much we are trying to impact our
mhm,
community here. So I said I had to read it again, and because it was book of choice. And fun fact, I know it's not that part yet, but I went to high school with Erica Sanchez, which is kind of cool.
No way. That's
Yes.
so dope.
Yes,
I love it.
I was a senior and she was a sophomore, so it's not like we took classes together or anything like that, but we had similar friends. So when I read the book, I'm like, oh, that sounds like that one party we were at.
Right. Yes, I love it. Yes.
But
Yes,
okay,
yes.
what keeps me going? No, let's go back to this. This is a good one. What
It's
keeps
okay.
me going? So not only do I have my own children, right, that keep me going, and my parents, they are my biggest supporters, and my family, my husband, my students. Without the support system, my colleagues, I mean, my teammates are like my family. And without that support, it would be really, really difficult. I know that in like 2018, I was thinking of leaving the profession. And at that time, I started digging deep into, and this was before the pandemic. So the pandemic just made everything 10 times worse. But so I started digging into like, why am I feeling the way I was feeling? And obviously we all know it's called teacher burnout, right? You get to that point, but you only get there without the right support. And you only get there without, with being able to share your voice. And I think that at the time, not only was I struggling with health concerns, I had been diagnosed with like thyroid cancer. And so that was a level of issues, my own personal issues. But the other thing was the demoralization that was happening to educators around that time. This was before the pandemic. You were being like not valued and your voice didn't matter. And that really was starting to take a toll on not only me, but everybody. And then the pandemic came, and I feel like that was the opportunity for us to start changing some things. And we all talk about self-care, but I mean, self-care is more than just like, a day at the spa. For me, how I keep going is I have a coach, like a life coach. I see her like once a month, and she helps me go through any issues I might have, or just talk through things. And she's super positive and supportive, but you need someone to talk to. You really do. And sometimes your own family and your own teammates and your own friends, it's okay to vent to them, but sometimes they don't know what to do or what to say. So sometimes it's important to seek out professional help. There's nothing wrong with that. And I love the saying, like, it's okay not to be okay. And I think I went on a journey to share that with teachers, and I've done PDs and things like that, where I've shared my own experience, where you cannot be everything to everyone. And that's without you taking care of yourself first. That's absolutely necessary. But what I mean by that is you need to go to the doctor when you don't feel good, and you need to seek out, counseling if you're not okay, in here, and that's okay. And you also need to make sure that all the work you take on has to fit your values. And I did, and because of my coach, there was so much soul searching I had to do, which what are my values? And I mean, the bottom line is my values are two, and and everything filters through those two values. And I wouldn't know that if I hadn't gone through that like burnout process. Number one is I know I am a lifetime learner. I don't know everything, and I'm not going to know everything, but I want to keep learning, and I want to keep growing, and I can learn so many things from so many people. I don't have all the answers, and that's okay. So being a lifelong learner, if everything I filter through that value, then I can align what I take on if it aligns with my value. And then my last value, and this is the most important, I probably already said this, but is it what's best for kids? Because if it's not what's best for kids, then I don't really want to be part of that.
Yeah, I love it. I appreciate your vulnerability and sharing, your transparency, and just showing up as your whole self in this interview, Brenda. I really learned a lot about you in this short amount of time, and thank you again, especially that part where teachers in general, right? There is a burnout. Um, it They get to places in their career where they feel burnout and then they leave. Hence the 5 year, hence the 3 year, right? Turnaround. And some leave education altogether. Some just find another district where they feel valued and aligned. But there are a lot of Latinx educators out there that are still discovering who they are. Because you also mentioned this, I think you mentioned, nope, that was another interview. Sorry, I've had so many. Someone I interviewed this morning and talked about being Dominican in the Bronx, and how even though she had Latinx representation, she wasn't necessarily connecting with the Puerto Ricans or the Colombians. Like there was a connection, she said, but there was still like, I'm not American enough.
Yeah. I always say that. Yeah. Because, yeah, we all deal with that. Yep.
Exactly.
Sense of
And
identity.
Gloria Ansaldúa talks a lot about that too. It's just like this in-between space. And so a lot of Latinx educators are still existing there because they didn't have Latinx representation to show them the ropes, to say, hey, talking about identity from the second grade versus your 10th year of teaching, which is what you're doing. That's the impact. You're talking to, second graders about college, right? They're not, being scouted by some baseball team or soccer team and then being thrown in there and then realizing that, like, who am I?
Right.
Besides my value of soccer, like, who am I? Why am I here?
And you bring up such a valid point, and I think that I don't know, I didn't mention this, but the kids themselves have inspired so many questions over the 15 years that I've been an educator. They've inspired so many questions that I actually am having the opportunity currently. I'm going to be published, and we're writing a Latinx children's series that is going to answer these questions for them. And I advocated for it to be in English and Spanish because he said, if we're doing a social justice like series, then it has to be available in Spanish because that's what my kiddos read. Yes. And they can't answer the questions if they can't read it. So I'm super
families can read with them.
Families, yes, it's in English and in Spanish. It's going to be, and it's going to, like, one of the titles is what is Latinx, Hispanic, Latino, Latina, Latin? What is the difference? Because the kiddos, they want to know, like, what is the difference in which word do I identify with the most? And so that's going to be the first book. I'm excited about it, but that's all inspired by the kiddos.
Well, I have a second grade boy, and you just reminded me of something recently. So he knows we work for the Latinx. He calls it the Latinx Collaborative. He forgets the education word. I don't know. He just skips over it. He goes, so the Latinx Collaborative, he goes, is everyone Latino at the LEC? And I said, yes. And then wherever we go, we're shopping. Are they Latino? No. Are they Latino? Yes. And he's wondering, and he notices that, that he has a lighter skin tone. He noticed that some are darker, and he's so inquisitive. And I'm like, we need books. So thank you, Brenda.
There you go. See, and that was my pitch to the publishing company, because I was like, listen, I'm a nobody. I've written articles, educational articles, but I'm not an author. But this has to happen. And they were like, all right, make it happen. I was like, oh, yeah. Okay. Be careful what you wish for.
Yes. No, I love it. I just feel like we went through a wormhole, like time. it just went so fast. I do have a curiosity. So the fun fact that was mentioned by your nominator was that you're obsessed with Disney and that you've transformed your whole classroom into a Star Wars world. completely with lightsabers, Darth Vader, and droids. So please give us a quick tour before we go. Like, okay, there's
so
Darth Vader.
that's my Darth Vader. And over there you can see I've got stormtroopers everywhere. So that's huge. Okay, so we're gonna go. I'll take you on a tour. So
Yes.
here we have. It's really important that you see even at our writing center. There's a little Star Wars everywhere. And then this is one of my favorite things. I don't know if you see the Baby Yoda chair.
Oh, yes.
Well, this is a Baby Yoda. I always have to tell the kids because they're like, "That's Baby Yoda." I'm like, "No, it's not. That's Yoda. That's Old Man Yoda." And so the kids' birthdays are also on Star Wars themed. I also inject our culture in here. So we November, Dia de los Muertos, we definitely did a huge unit on that. So we were excited,
awesome.
But everything, even like the strategies, and we've got star paper, and we've got. I put a little Harry Potter in here because I also like Harry Potter, but we got, we got Star Wars everywhere. And then
that's awesome.
Yeah, I
mean, where are your lightsabers?
Oh, I'm looking for them. I'm like, oh, where'd they go? So here's more Baby Yodas. But I was so excited. This is like the best part over here. It's like I have some actual ships and everything on the walls. But my mom made me these amazing curtains.
Oh my God.
Star Wars curtains. So the lightsabers are actually they're oh my gosh, I didn't show you my Baby Yoda. I have an actual life-size Baby Yoda, and he's over there. Hi. But the cool thing is we have lightsaber pencils. So that's probably what they meant, because I wanted all my students to be able to, let me show you. See, here's our lightsaber pencils.
Oh, I love it.
And they love it. I love it. Friends, we're just not going to hit anybody with them, but right with them. And they think they're the coolest thing ever. So anything that makes learning engaging and fun and just.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I love
this. Be able to come here every day and just absolutely love it so much. They don't want to leave.
Oh, our deputy director, Susana Elizareras, joined us. She goes, I love me a classroom tour. Congratulations.
Hola, Susana.
Yes, yes, Susana.
I hope
awesome.
You enjoyed it. Yeah.
This is, I want you to know, the best part of the year so far for us as a team. We were really reflecting last night. We're like, wow, all these some of the nominations just make us tear up. A simple one-liner porque él es un buen maestro para mi niño. I'm like,
oh, you're just
and she was like, screw y'all, I'm writing this in Spanish, and this is a good teacher for my kid, and that's all the time I have, and I hope you take this nomination. It said a lot.
It's beautiful. I love that. So powerful.
But yes, anyhow, Brenda, thank you so much. LEC community, it's been a pleasure being in community and in space, sharing space. But Brenda, best of luck. And,
thank you so much.
We will stay in touch.
You. Yeah, we do need to stay in touch because I think we could talk for hours.
Yes. Oh, I love it. I love it. Yes. All right. Well, wait for me, and adios, everybody. Yeah!